positions. He's going to cut. Okay, we open with the English opening.
Ooh.
And Caruana replies with his king's pawn. And this tends to resemble a reversed Sicilian. We've been talking about the Sicilian a lot. It's got very similar characteristics. White now with his last move jumping out with the knight, allowing black to advance in the center. This is all well-known stuff. We will see a trade of pawns in the middle of the board. And then quite likely black's queen will jump out. There we go, to attack the white knight. The white knight does get kicked about a lot in these types of positions, but it's quite provocative. White in return will gain time against the black queen.
Yeah, and you can see that knight moving. I have to say, David, a little bit off on a tangent, but if we look at Nepomniachtchi, he sat there sipping a drink. Very unusual behavior when you're playing a blitz match.
Do you think that's a mental thing? Just trying to psych out Fabiano? I'm all calm. I'm just drinking, eating, you know.
Again, we're still very much in the realms of theory. So white has castled.
Black doing the same, copying, and now a knight sacrifice, a temporary knight sacrifice by Ian Nepomniachtchi. This is quite well known. I'm slightly surprised Caruana has allowed this. Black winning a knight, but now look at this, white pawn forking the black queen and the black bishop. White is about to regain his material with dividends. He is about to regain his piece, and white's going to have the bishop pair. That is a big factor in a semi-open position. White now has a choice, but white will most likely play pawn, takes bishop, and then material will start to balance itself out. Just a really nice, small tactical idea there by Nepomniachtchi. I do think the two bishops in this type of position are going to long-term cause Caruana some real headaches.
Yeah, I think Caruana was tricked in the opening. He just seemed a little bit taken aback and just...
Really devastating squares, and the black bishop has developed. White now, look at this, he's going to put both of his bishops on the longest possible diagonals. Those two bishops are going to have x-ray vision on both sides of the board. Caruana advancing his pawn, just trying to stake it, play him for space on that left flank.
I'm not sure about that move actually, because it concedes some squares. You know, you look at that, and I love what Nepomniachtchi has just done. He's moved his queen, and the queen move has really good ideas of perhaps putting a knight to the C line and just to look at some squares.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Nepomniachtchi first has prioritised developing his bishops. Look at those two white bishops. They are going to cover so many squares. And Caruana therefore blunts the effect of white's dark square bishop. He's felt the necessity to push a pawn to block that bishop's eye line, and now white's queen stepping forward. That's slightly surprising. I thought that move would have made sense earlier because it might have been threatening checkmate, but black's already blocked that diagonal. Okay, black.
And when a knight positions itself in the center, go for the trades.
Yep.
Okay, we have a different approach. So Nepomniachtchi moves his rook, attacking the knight, and well, he's going for I was waxing lyrical about this knight coming to this particular square, C4 square, and yeah.
C4, that knight is dynamite. And that knight attacking some pawns. That pawn will be most likely protected, or maybe black will drop back with his knight to the centre of the board. Either way, it looks like something. There we go, black's knight dropping back to defend his pawn. It feels like something's going to drop on that left side of your back. It looks so loose, right? So
definitely.
shaky.
I mean, just look at the light squared bishop. It's just shooting at this poor, unsuspecting pawn. And then you have the rooks on open lines, and the white knight is excellently placed. It's too soft there on the left.
Yeah, white.
I mean, how to continue though? I mean,
White's achieved a dream position. He just needs to continue upping the ante, continue creating threats, and he does that by bringing his queen across. That causes a pin. So much talking, sorry. That does cause a pin on a central line. Black's bishop now unable to move because the black queen would be undefended behind it. Also, white queen eyeing up pawns on the left side of the board. Yeah, Nepomniachtchi, he's doing the right thing. He's creating threats, forcing Caruana to slow down on the clock as well, finding ways to deal with them.
And that's why Caruana has gone on the defensive, just moving his rook one square to protect the pawns. And
cause chaos. And Caruana, okay, he's kept the pace though. Look at the clock times. He has been playing very fast. Black's position is really dire. He's about to have to retreat his knight. Okay, he does do that, attacking the white queen. Black's position is not ideal, but there hasn't been a knockout blow yet. He survived. He's got through maybe the worst of it, and maybe the clock times will give him some confidence. White's queen stepping back. White's next idea is to advance his central pawn, keep away black's knight from the middle of the board. What do you think about
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. Because I can't stop raving about that white knight. I mean, it controls so many squares. Okay, so this is why Fabiano is very good with his knights, and he jumps forward and just asks the queen to protect the pawn, but still the threat is there in the position. White is going to start slowly expanding in the center with pawns.
Yeah, Miss.
On the left side of the board. So I would be looking at snapping off the corner pawn. So my idea is I want to destabilize the defense. Okay, no, we did not see that. Instead, Nepomniachtchi is pushing pawns, attacking the knight. The knight steps back, and now
Surely it's time.
Now it's time to
advancing pawns on that left side.
Yeah, push a pawn to attack the black knight.
Keep back both of those horses. Just kick them back. White has the opportunity to do that right now, and I don't think that opportunity will be there forever. So
exactly, and once that black knight is chased away from its great position, then you can actually go about maneuvering your knight, perhaps to the right side of the board.
Yeah, so right now, Nepomniachtchi, he doesn't start to kick back the knight with pawns. Instead, he eyes up that black knight with a bishop. But it wasn't clear that that bishop needed to be improved. That bishop was already on a fantastic diagonal. And there we see the evaluation bar does not approve of Nepomniachtchi's last idea. And that's because there is potentially a threat in the tactic in the position. Caruana, look how quickly he spotted that. He's fantastic at calculating. He has spotted that after sacrificing the black knight. Now he marches forward with his own pawn. And White's knight is under heavy fire. It's pinned along the diagonal.
Wait 1 second, David. There's a trick on the board, because look at Nepomniachtchi. He's just moved his queen, and this is the point. You're seeing it on the board that the bishop is skewering the queen and the rook, or pinning. I don't know. I get confused.
Skewering, yep.
Yeah.
So the black queen has to move. She has to step aside from that attack. White took a black rook for his bishop. Now White's stepping forward on that left side. I think Caruana's idea was working, but he played trap, missed a small idea in that last position a few moves ago, but suddenly the clock times are turning against him for the first time really in the game. Caruana is behind on the clock, and also the board situation looking desperate. He does bring his rook all the way to the corner to defend some of the black pawns, but note how that black rook, it is on the same diagonal as White's bishop. If things start to open up, Black's rook will be a potential target. There we go, pawn trade. Caruana will recapture that pawn with his, I was going to say with his own pawn, but he recaptures it with the bishop. Now Black's two pawns on the left flank, they're separated. That means long term they will be easier targets than they were previously. White, Nepomniachtchi not hesitating, kicking the black queen away from her ideal outpost.
Yeah, and Caruana had to be very careful where he retreated. The queen had to guard the knight, and Nepomniachtchi playing the moves very quickly, advancing in the center. So really aggressive play by Nepomniachtchi.
Yeah, Nepomniachtchi, the reason he's advanced in that center is not actually to gain space, but it's to open up that white bishop, the white light squared bishop. Now, it's got so many targets along the diagonal, and Fabiano finds nothing better than to just trade a set of pawns. What will Nepomniachtchi do? Will he offer a trade of queens, or will he just capture that pawn? He activates his bishop. And
yeah, and it's going to be all over soon, because the black position is just collapsing. There's nothing to be done. I mean, if you go bishop takes bishop, the white rook suddenly jumps in, and okay, we see that on the board. And the big problem is that look at the queen. The black queen was pinned, and this is why Fabiano really tries to activate the queen by attacking the rook. But okay, that doesn't mean anything, because you can just simply line them up, and look, that's it.
Caruana shaking his head, he knows the end is coming. The problem is, knight can fight against rook sometimes, but right now, Black's knight is just so bad. It cannot hold its own against White's rooks. And with that last check, we see Caruana actually block that check.
I mean, here you would think, okay, well, the queen can move up the board and attack the rook and the knight. Unfortunately, take a look at the white king. The white king is exposed, and that is why Nepomniachtchi has moved his queen along the same diagonal as the white king.
Suddenly there's a very strong move for Black. Black can play just pawn takes pawn, ignore the threat against his knight. Okay, he doesn't do that, he just retreats the knight first. Also a decent move, maybe more natural. Now suddenly, if you do a pawn count, White is running out of pawns. It's 4 versus 2 in Black's favour in terms of pawns. And White failed to deliver the killer blow. Wow, he takes a pawn back, but look how open White's king is suddenly. The black knight finding an outpost, a safe square, protecting the black king, also maybe threatening to jump forward towards White's king. Nepomniachtchi, ideally not, but even trading the queens might lead black to safety.
It's 9 seconds.
Yeah.
And he has traded off the queens. And now Fabiano is banking on the fact that the position will relinquish itself in black's favor. This knight will be able to handle those pawns on the right side of the board. And I don't think so. Maybe it's not the best idea.
Suddenly I'm not so sure. So black is relying on a fortress. Black is hoping that, okay, his pawn on the left side is going to drop. It's defenseless. White's rook is going to win black's left pawn on the left. But he's hoping that the other side of the board, white was unable to create a passed pawn. The rook will be unable, hopefully for Fabiano, it will be unable to break past that knight. But it doesn't look that way. It looks like that white rook will be able to continue checking. It does stack on that pawn. It's going to kick back that the black king. Then the white king is going to join the action. The white king about to advance now. And I don't know. I don't think this is a fortress. It's very similar to a position that Caruana actually won against Vasily Grav in the candidates tournament. Rooks, there are always tricks against knights. Now look at this. The black knight passive. The black king having to defend it. Nepomniachtchi, very nice move there. Just advancing a pawn and saying to black, you cannot move. The black king sidesteps. Now the white king is in. He's coming into the position.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem for Caruana. I mean, he has to make a move. And he takes a step backwards, but okay, this allows the white king to take a step forward.
And Nepomniachtchi, he leant back a few moments ago. He knows that he's winning this game. He just needs a bit of accuracy. He's going to pin that black knight. Now the white king's going to walk even further forward. The black knight has to move. Then the black pawns are about to drop. Caruana resigns.
It's over. The first Blitz game in the tiebreaks between Nepomniachtchi and Caruana is over.